Good afternoon, Red Berets, Medicare for All. By the way, that's everybody who wants to get the profit motive out of healthcare. Everyone who wants to pass National Improved Medicare for All. Everybody who refuses to accept that National Improved Medicare for All isn't on the platform. Anyone who is determined to use all means at our disposal, all peaceful means at our disposal for pushing this healthcare justice forward. So, yeah, I tagged a whole bunch of people. That's kind of what I do on Twitter. It's really fairly obnoxious of me, but I don't know. Twitter is really how I get a lot of the word out, and I'm sure that I'm the one that hampers my own account to a huge degree because of adding people and tagging so many people in photos. But it's kind of how I've done my organizing online. So let's see. To the point of the video, what am I at liberty to say? Well, I can just say that, you've all heard that Washington State is pressing forward with the ballot initiative process. So we'll be filing on Monday. That's the date that I think that we're going to be filing. We have to collect over 350,000, or it's 350,000 qualified signatures, which means that we'll need to gather 400,000 signatures. You got tagged. And there are many, many, many other people who, I just could tag everybody. I can already think of, like Sharif, I am for M for A. I didn't tag him, and he's awesome. He's got a steering committee that he's putting together for that I'm supposed to be sort of participating in and haven't been doing anything for. But I did kind of get him connected up with Whole Washington, and hopefully he's finding some things helpful about being plugged into that organizing community. But he certainly is doing great things. So if you're not following him, that's I am for M4A. And then he's got a separate Twitter account that's for a march for Medicare for All. I'll tweet it, or I'll make it the title of another video in the future. But what I wanted to say is that we've been advised. We've heard the very well warranted. Historically, it's important to know exactly what we're stacked up against. The odds, so to speak, in the time of COVID, and which you would think would be the time when we absolutely must do everything that we can to demand Medicare for all or state by state single payer so that we can open the floodgates. But it means we won't have access to, I hate using that word in any in any frame at this point, but we don't know what things are going to look like in a couple of months when we have our very best months of weather for signature gathering. So there is definitely a concern that we do not have the means to print all of the petitions and the literature and everything that will be necessary. But we have a field plan, and we are preparing the things and getting ready to go. Because the thing about it is, the oligarchy, they are closing the gates. I made a tweet about this yesterday. They're closing the gates on us. Like, in case, for those of you who don't know, we're over the cliff in oligarchy. The time to act on this is now. The time is not to say, gee, I don't know if we can get 400,000 signatures. That is one hell of a tall order. I can already tell you that as a volunteer, I am such a different volunteer and organizer to Whole Washington than I was in 2018 myself. And if I'm that person, then so many of us have exponentially grown. If we had the ballot printed, if it had already been filed, and then 2 weeks out, once it's filed on Monday, it'll be about 2 weeks until we're able to get our ballot summary. Is that what it is? And then follow Whole Washington for all of this, and then essentially get our initiative number, and then we can print, and we can be good to go out of the gate, right? I will get to the point of the topic and the 50 state strategy and the red berets and calling on all crafters, because those of you who I did tag are probably like, I'm not a crafter. Do I care about this? Well, hopefully you do, because if you want a pathway forward, it's like we were on the National People's Party call last week, and they're bringing Whole Washington aboard to advise on their national policy platform and on the state party platforms as far as providing an organizing template. Number one, other states can look at our legislation, and they can take advice on how to set up their own legislation, and then they can introduce bills if they aren't doing so already, and start demanding hearings and start discovering that their state Senate and representative healthcare committees at the state level are just like at the federal level, completely corporately owned, and they can be blocked from receiving a hearing. And why would anyone want to go through any of this stuff? Well, because we have a president, Joe Biden, who said that he would veto Medicare for all. This isn't news to any progressive, any person who's politically astute, who is watching and listening to independent media. It's not news. Well, my beret doesn't really match my shirt very well, does it? Oh, well. What we're going to do, I was very, very excited to finish work today and then see that Kenny Ballantyne, and it's kenny.fun. Kenny.fun. You can follow Kenny Ballantyne on Twitter at Kenny Ballantyne. But you can also, you should follow him on Twitter, and he tweeted it out. And then it's basically got principal photography set or scheduled to begin or whatever for Medicare for All documentary. So you'll all sort of be following this, that he's going to be arriving, and he will be filming our event outside of Representative Kilmer's office on Friday the 26th. And we're also going to be having interviews that are set up that he is going to be conducting right here in Tacoma, right in the 27th legislative district. So I'm getting way too distracted. Okay. So anyway, what came to me last night, or sort of after the meeting last night, and hearing historically about different ballot initiatives, because this individual has, advised on, and has been not just as advised, but has worked on many, many, many ballot initiatives. So her advice is very much appreciated, and we have to take everything that she's provided seriously. So I don't want to say more about that, because that's the board. That's everything that we're taking under advisement. But nevertheless, we are moving forward with the ballot initiative. And I would say that what makes Whole Washington, what makes this ballot initiative, whatever our initiative number is, historically unique, is that we have this absolutely amazing gift of being part of this healthcare justice documentary. And of course, it was partially, at least in equal part, Whole Washington when he heard my interview on Amped Up podcast with Ryan Knight. That intrigued him. And I don't know, you should all go to kenny.fun and check out. He's got everything so far that he is able to announce. He said he has announcements that he is not at liberty to announce yet, as far as people that are scheduled to be participating in this documentary. But he has quite a few exciting pieces that are including there. He's got Scott Denoyer's Now This video about his son, Danny. He's got the Amped Up podcast with Ryan Knight that I was on. And then he's got the very recent interview yesterday. He and Georgia Davenport and myself were on Get Your News On with Ron Placone. So that interview is also available up there, in addition to his current work that he's doing, the badgeandblackamerica.com. So that's just a great thing. You can go and check that out and tweet it out if you kind of want to start helping us build some interest. Because, as he says in all of the language, as he's describing his vision for the documentary, it is definitely not just a Washington thing. It is a it's all across the country and potentially even international. So we're building. I feel privileged to be part of this collaboration. He, the documentary filmmaker, is envisioning bringing people from all walks of life and from all over the political spectrum, because, of course, as we all know, healthcare is not supposed to be a partisan issue. Uh, Healthcare is for everyone. Everyone needs healthcare. It saves money, it saves lives. We're already paying for it. We just don't have it. So there we go. And so back for just a moment to the ballot initiative process. I can think of many, many ways that this initiative, once we get filed and get the initiative number, I can think of many ways and reasons why it is not historically the same as any other ballot initiative. And I know that might just be lofty thinking, but I think that we have reason to hope that the rest of the country and perhaps people from all over the world, when they start to see the documentary and become familiar with the fact that this is a pathway, just like Canada, just like Saskatchewan passed healthcare province by province until they passed their Medicare system over 50 years ago. And this is how we're, working with marijuana legalization, Fight for 15, ranked choice voting, and all kinds of other issues. It's how we're pressing our platform forward. And obviously, healthcare is no different. So let's dispel with that narrative. Everybody has agreed that the cleanest and most ideal way to pass this is federal legislation. There's also no longer an argument that, in the time of COVID, that we can wait around on a president who is more beholden to the insurance lobby than he is to serving the people of his country that are dying every single day. Tens of thousands of people every single year. This is unacceptable. So we have to be the leaders. We can keep, as we're going to do on Friday, we can keep demanding hearings. That pressure must stay exactly as it is, and that's why the model of whole Washington is what we hope. And we're not the only state that is doing that model. We have a really great alliance with Healthcare for All California. They're always retweeting and emailing us in solidarity some of their actions and what they're doing, and there's always room for contacting federal legislators and helping to push. In fact, doing stuff at the local level does everything to help increase and build the movement towards the national platform. Everybody can do this at the same time. So let's just get that silly notion off of the table that we're not fighting for national improved Medicare for all, because we are. We want it. We would demand it. If we could move Representative Kilmer with this one action on Friday and help open the floodgates for more co-sponsors to get pressured, we absolutely will do that. We're trying to get as many people there as possible. I have said multiple times, I think that it requires a great deal of pressure. I'm not sure what it would require, what would be required to move Representative Kilmer. Nevertheless, that will be documented. That will be on a national, perhaps international documentary, that Representative Kilmer is not a co-sponsor of healthcare justice, that he instead, in fact, co-sponsors 30 to 68,000 deaths per year in order to preserve the profit motive. And if he chooses not to co-sponsor Medicare for all, we will be noting that very, 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 very visually in the documentary. That's his prerogative, just as it will be all the other representatives and senators' prerogative. The more noise we make at every single level of government. So, to the point of the Red Berets and crafters and what people can do, at different points, I have had people ask me, like, do you have enough help? Do you have enough people crafting? And in general, I kind of haven't known what to say. Like it kind of felt like enough. At this point in time, myself and a couple of other organizers are going to put a little more structure around the Red Berets. Um, and I don't know exactly how that looks yet, other than to say we would like to be more effective as a grassroots organization, meaning I would really like for for the craftivists of the Red Berets, and Bernie's, whatever things people want to craft. It doesn't have to be sort of limited to the Red Berets, but we'll be the Red Berets because that's what we're doing. But craftivists should just feel inspired wherever to do what it is they're doing towards healthcare justice. No need to get put into a box or feel restricted on your creativity or anything like that. But I started thinking around, because one of the things that we were advised is that, it's just very difficult to get any kind, you can get a lot of small dollar donations, but you don't get any real big, substantial donors or organizations to come in with real help that's necessary until, unfortunately, they want to see it make the ballot, and then you can get some big dollar donors and organizations to come aboard to help. So that's the conundrum of the initiative process, is that rightfully so, in a certain way, that people don't want to make that expenditure or investment before they're sure that something's going to get to the ballot. I mean, that is understandable, especially when you're talking about large sums of personal money. So we will have a lot of people power. We have a very dedicated volunteer team, and the majority of the most core volunteers, I will be asking for signatures, and the second that I get an excited, somebody very enthusiastic, that will be a volunteer recruitment opportunity. My signature gathering I'll be outside with my knitting in public places. I'll be encouraging people to do knit-ins, and the people that are quiet, that don't necessarily want to talk so much, they can have their petitions sitting out and just have a sign saying, I'm knitting for Medicare for All, I'm knitting for whole Washington. We can get out and we can be seen. And so what I would like to encourage all of you to do is that if you know crafters, if your cousin or your uncle or your aunt or your mother or grandmother or next door neighbor, somebody who believes in Medicare for All, knows that we need this really badly, and would like to craft for a good cause, please get in touch with me. You can go to redberetsmedicareforall.com. You can also find me on Twitter and DM me. And like I said, we're going to make this a little bit easier for people to navigate. And we're going to be sending out some big emails so that People's Party and Green Party and Socialist Alternative and Our Revolution and DSA and might perhaps be more inclined to want to organize and help us with this call to action for the Red Berets, if it's sort of structured in a way that makes sense and is easy to follow and easy to trust the process. So. But for now, send some grassroots crafters my way. And, it'll get too complicated if we're trying to reimburse people for yarn or labor. So it really needs to be that whole Washington, they're just a donation, just as people craft and donate their work all the time. I'm not saying that people will want to just craft their entire life a zillion berets like me. Maybe somebody only wants to donate one or two, and that is fine and fantastic. If we just manage to rally the crafters and have a place for them to mail their work to, which we will. If they get in touch with me, I will give them the address where they can mail the berets. And then the thing with the 50-state strategy kind of comes along out of inspiration from the People's Party, from thinking about People's Party building, but it certainly isn't limited to People's Party. But I just think that uniquely, People's Party building a brand new party from the ground up at the state level in 50 states, uh, you know, and they're wanting to get out and let people know about their platform and why people should. Uh, let's see. Oh, I'll see you soon, Kenny. So, yay. Yeah. So then this idea, when I was thinking about, we wouldn't have any big dollar donors, and nobody's saying never. No, it's that's the thing about it is we are in historical times. We're in a time where thank you to Kenny Ballantyne and Ryan Knight for introducing us. I think that we can have really a lot of enthusiasm, a lot and a lot of like eyes and a lot of hope. Honestly, a lot of hope from a nation that is, I think it's safe to say if I have gone through times recently of being truly, truly depressed, of I wonder if this is just completely. Um, I mean, what do you do when those of us that worked so hard to try to get Bernie Sanders elected and try so hard to get you know progressives elected. We had many, many, many other campaigns going, people running as Democrats, people running as Green, people running in different independent, different parties. And everybody here who's at least active a little bit, anything from on social media to out working on campaigns, understands exactly how hard it is to unseat a corporate Democrat or Republican. So, um, where was I going with that? Just that it's an enormous gift, and it's completely reciprocal because it's if people can see whole Washington as a gift to a chance, as an opportunity for the whole nation, and then of course, you know, everyone's contributions, by signing up to be volunteers. You don't have to be local in Washington state to help. The same way that many, many people have volunteered for progressive campaigns and continue to across the country. There's many, many things that you can do to get involved to help us. Uh, so the call to action is really the berets. I started thinking about, well, let's do this on small dollar donations and let's get this creativity out. So I just had this, I remembered having this discussion with Lisa Serafini, 50 Lines Only, about what if we could get berets in every single state. So I had this idea, since Georgia Davenport mails out the berets that Fran and Michelle and myself and other crafters donate to whole Washington. Georgia knows, she sends out all these berets, in the whole Washington envelope. She sends them out all over the country and all over Washington state. So she can tabulate exactly, when we start this, which state she's sending them to. And so my goal is to get 50 berets in 50 states. And roughly, I think after postage, if they're totally donated, it would be like $35. And somehow I think all of that basic math ended up to be $87,000 for whole Washington, which of course would help us print a lot of petitions and or all of the literature that's required that we're going to need to hand out to people. And it's argued that it truly would be historic to think that we don't need to gather to pay any signature gatherers to make the ballot at 400,000 signatures required. It would be really cool to do it. Can you imagine gathering? And I thought of all kinds of things. I've thought of how they did the Bernie journeys and all. We could call it like the whole damn apple road trip. No, I don't know. We could think of something catchy for it and see, who can, whenever everybody's feeling a little more comfortable, and if they're choosing to be vaccinated or whatever. During the warm months and the nice weather months, I could even see people coming from out of state. I mean, people came from all over the world and from out of state to go help with the Iowa caucuses and to help in other states to help Bernie. I see no reason why we couldn't get that kind of, fierce dedication and passion and to this pathway, which is a pathway. This will be it'll send shockwaves. It's going to send shockwaves anyway, because we have managed to um, finally capture, some national attention and some help. Reinforcements have finally come to Washington State. I'm gonna cry. Through the progressive media that has helped cover us, to Kenny Ballantyne, to People's Party. It's like I feel like we're not on our own, and I actually feel like that there are a lot of people in the country that are starting to recognize, like, that we are trying, like, this is how we believe that we can do it, and we're always fighting at the national level. But we've really just been hollering all along, please, can we do this, like, side by side strategy, so that we're not just continuing to kind of trust in this top down approach. It's just not the way. It's not. I mean, it hasn't yielded any substantial results yet. That's the only thing. That's not I just don't see how we can argue that. So, it's not that we're not going to continue to try, but some of us are going to have to hit the streets, and we're going to have to gather signatures. The legislature is broken, or as Jimmy Dore says, this isn't broken. It's working exceptionally well. It's working exactly how it's intended to function for the insurance lobby, for the 1%. But we have to go around, you see, because whole Washington has got the template. We've introduced the legislation. We have demanded hearings. We've even gone and testified to hearings this year so far against other bills that aren't real healthcare justice bills. We had more co-sponsors, I've gone over, I've done other videos on all of this stuff. There's no reason that we couldn't get a public hearing other than Senator Annette Cleveland and that Senate Healthcare Committee has taken over $1 million, and there's 11 of them, five Republicans and 6 Democrats, and Annette Cleveland is a Democrat. So $1 million divided up among all of them, and Annette Cleveland has received quite a high number. It was like over 200. I'm sure of it. But anyway, Jason Call gathered all of that information, and we have it in its public record. And if they think that we're just going to be quiet, no, this is what every state needs to start doing. Number one, Annette Cleveland needs a primary challenger. And I would personally be much more likely to go out and support her primary challenger. This is me personally, but if we can get enough movement around People's Party or a third party challenge, but we're going to continue, as I've said, with Red Berets, we continue to craft for strong progressives in whatever party that they're organizing for healthcare justice within. So that is the call to action. It's like, just be on notice, because we're going to get this together, and we're going to send out the emails, and that'll have the information of where people can send stuff. You're going to run out of red yarn soon, and making some red berets right now. Well, that's what I need to be doing, because Ryan Knight doesn't have his red beret yet. I wonder if he's going to get sad or upset that, and anyway, there's I promised Pat the Burner another one, because the one I sent him, everyone's like, didn't you send Pat one? And yes, I did, but his had a really funky like bill at the front that was like, I was trying to make like a little like a mail or a paperboy cap, like in his profile picture, and it was really pretty weird looking. He tried to be nice and say that he liked it or it was fine, but yeah, I've been promising him another one, and yeah. Anyway, so that would be pretty incredible to think of. Oh gosh, and then Alice Green, I called her. She's a nurse and a member of the Green Party. I called her to talk about this idea of like 50 states and, just what kind of, what, even if we could just, and I feel like that, if we could really get the word out, 50 berets from each state is a very conservative number. Like we could easily get 50 people from each state to order a red beret. So actually we could really do a hell of a lot for whole Washington if we wanted to dream. But let's start with a reasonable number, and 50 berets from each of the 50 states sounds kind of like a nice like goal, something. And well, I'm sure we'll have more from some states and less from others, and that's fine. But I want all of the states to feel included about it and to help kind of bring the word and all of that stuff. Seems like there was something else. Nope. That's about it. I want, I know. May Day. That was basically what Alice was talking about. She was like, well, you could get, you basically just have a lot of knit-ins, and have events all over. So that's something to think about and to try to bring people in who don't craft but want to contribute. They could contribute yarn. There's all these ideas, and we go with some of them. And I don't mean, I just mean like, let's deal with the documentary and the organizing and making sure that everybody's on the agenda and has their place and is going to be, and making signage. We have somebody who's Holly, who's kind of beating her head against the wall because she got one side of the sign, these repurposed yard signs that I want her to do. One stencil is finished and the other side she's having a really hard time with. So yeah, lots and lots of details to take care of. And I'm kind of looking past that because that's what happens when we're going to file the initiative. My mind is going like all right into the initiative process because the energy changes like immediately and it's full on. And it's really exciting. It's direct democracy. It's getting out into your community. And like I already talked to somebody who's like, hell yeah, bring me petitions down here and I'll have all my clients like sign it. I think almost all of them will sign it. So, I'm already way more open about just thinking who I'm going to ask. Can I sign you out a petition or two or more? It's not hard to get 20 signatures. Everybody can get 20 with just their friends and family. If you have to go down your block, like literally, you can go down your block and get 20 signatures. Everyone can get that. So if we really just like spread it like wildfire and asking everybody, come on, get everybody to get 20. We can really do it. And so the idea with the berets is let's just get everybody invested, get the creators of the red berets. Let's get thinking about all those, all thinking of all those pink hats that were out in the streets and what would have happened, like thinking about how everybody crafted those, what would have happened if those were attached to actually helping to make a demand for policy. For instance, health equity for women and for all people. And what if that was attached to a policy? And what if that was actually helping to demand something really, really clear? Well, that was the whole idea behind Red Berets is we're actually going to attach these to National Improved Medicare for All. And I see no reason why we can't help inspire crafters across the nation to donate their work, be that one beret, be that 50, be that 10. And then people, as they start to find out about it, can, of course, start to craft for their own local legislation, their own groups that are doing their own activism. And until that time happens, if people don't have an organization like Whole Washington to craft for, we will love and appreciate their handwork to help raise money for Whole Washington. Because if we can open the floodgates here, then this can be the template all over the United States. So thank you very much for joining. And and you're bringing yarn up with you to donate. Are you bringing 3 pounds of love? Have you all seen that picture? Like, and so that was the other thing. The other last call to action, if you see this, if anyone made it through, a couple of you made it through 34 minutes. I know I talked too long. Is definitely, like I said at the beginning of the video, go to kenny.fun and then just like look and go and see everything that he's put on there. About this documentary and his other work, and then you can scroll down and just like tweet it out or whatever. He's got several of the things you could just click, and it links that lovely thumbnail up, and you can literally get this word out to everybody about his work. And that is just going to, we can share that everywhere. So yeah, please share his work to all the different platforms that you're on. And thank you very much. And I really look forward to movement building with all of you. It feels like we're starting to get, we're starting to come together to rise up and say, it doesn't matter. We have a corporate, I mean, of course it matters. It's some awful decisions and people are dying and all of that. But like, okay, so let's forge the path forward, because we just don't have a choice. We're not gonna let the oligarchy close these doors on us. They're moving quickly. Move with us. We're moving. They're not going to close the fucking gates on us. No. All right. See you all soon. See you this weekend, Kenny. And I will see some of you others. And Scott Denoyer, if you see this, and Lisa and Fran, and so many of you, I know that you'll be here in spirit. And I'm really, really getting excited. Okay. Take care now. Have a great evening.